Ladies and gentlemen, there are three questions, or there are three things that should be analyzed in order to look at this debate. First of all, is what is a good judicial system look like? What is it supposed to be, and what does justice mean to people? Oh, that's one question, by the way. Second question: how does this act of killing, or this act of taking one man's life, symbolizes a government stance? And third of all, impact. First of all, let's see how the debate went on in the forms of what justice looks like. When you listen to opposition bench, you see that there are three main focuses on what a judicial system should fulfill. First of all, it should create happy feelings for the society. Second of all, it should create fear for the criminals. And third of all, it should create closure for victims. Ladies and gentlemen, to some extent, we agree that that should be the goal of a good judicial system. But then when you put a person's life at stake, when you take away a person's, well, fundamental human right, we see that it is wrong. You can't say that we would like to take away the life of one rapist just because so my kid can play safely outside. Then put him to jail, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be safe there. So when you say that, well, when the examples of China, how society might not like pornography and they should be protected by it, from it, and thus the perpetrators should be murdered, ladies and gentlemen. We see that as very illogical. No, thank you. And when you see, second level, when you see fearful, right? When you say that the reason why a justice system is there is to create fear from the actors, from the perpetrators, from the offenders. Ladies and gentlemen, even though they are heinous, and even though they say that dignity is relative, we see that creating fear in terms of murdering should not be the way, and closure is not objective and should always be, well, yeah, go on.
Okay, sir. The problem is, you never standardize a level of punishments to entire world because you respect their social context, their differences. Why are you standardizing it on the death penalty in itself?
Because death is universal, ladies and gentlemen. Even though values in communities might differ, even though what might be wrong in one community might be right for another, but we see that death is universal. People don't like to die, I don't think, ladies and gentlemen, and people shouldn't die in the hands of the government, especially through a judicial system. So what is a judicial system supposed to provide? Closing bench has proven that it should provide retribution, it should have a curative aspect, and it should restore what happened in the society. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at what is fair, it should be fair for all actors, right? It should be fair for the victims, of course, for the society who feel unsafe, and third of all, of course, for the offenders, ladies and gentlemen. So when you look at our proposal, which is put them in life, put them in prison for life, we see that it fits all three. While their concept of death does not. Last year.
What if Indonesian people does not feel that putting Angkor in life imprisonment is an adequate system of retribution?
The problem is they're basing the whole judicial system on how people feel. Through my POI, I clearly pointed out, if I feel pissed off, a person scratched my car, should the government forward this feeling? I know that's a simplification, but still, you should not create or put the basis of a judicial system based on feeling. It should be based on fairness, whether it gives retribution, whether it gives a curative aspect to the society, and whether it restores the circumstances within society. We see that putting them in life is one of these things, ladies and gentlemen. We see that you should not have to take one person's life to fulfill all these things. And if you see the aspect of, when you see the inherent harm of death penalty, which is irreversible, which cannot be given back to you once you are murdered, ladies and gentlemen, we see that if there's a proposal that is reversible to some extent, we should take that one. No, thank you. Second of all, how it symbolizes a government stance. When side opposition says that it symbolizes a strong act from the government by saying, pointing out that a action is wrong because it shows that it's an end of, it symbolizes an end of heinous crimes. We see that that is not the case, because when you look at symbolizing, what should you see? You should see the society, and you should see the followers of these perpetrators, and they're also part of the society, ladies and gentlemen. So when you look at how death, the action of giving death penalty is symbolized, we see that it is not all. It is not only to a good aspect of the society, but also symbolizes a government that puts you in a special place, ladies and gentlemen. When you see these heinous criminals, we see that the government is giving them special attention. They're going to put them to death, ladies and gentlemen. That is what the symbol that we think side government thinks will portray. Especially when Teddy has already given you a characterization of how the followers react. We see that this symbol that the government's putting an end to that person's life does not create good within society, does not create, a feeling of safety that maximum prison can provide you, ladies and gentlemen. But it also symbolizes that the government is paying you special attention, that the government is actually, focusing the spotlight on you, ladies and gentlemen. No, thank you. And third of all, impact. When you see impact, there were two levels. First of all, how it will reduce crime, and tax, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go to tax very quickly, because I don't think that you should value a man's life based on money. That's one. And even if they say that tax is so important and money is so important, the process of appeals, the process of doing investigation and gathering facts for that trial can also exceed the amount of costs that you actually will spend if you put that person in prison, ladies and gentlemen. But enough about money, reduced crime rates. We see that side government has created an idea that this definitely will glorify that certain actor. It means that it does not reduce crimes, because when you see how the followers think, they will think that their leader has been symbolized, that their leader has been given this amount of attention, that this leader has given the ultimate, or has done the ultimate sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen. So when you see on how it impacts the society, especially on the criminals aspect, it creates a more dangerous environment for all. So what has side government given you is portrayed what a justice system should look like. It should be fair, but not only for the society, but it should be fair for the victims, for the offenders. It should not, the government symbol of death is wrongly analyzed, and third of all, the impact does not give any benefits.
The proposition whip spent 7 minutes and 24 seconds. And the case of the opposition, we'd like to call upon the opposition whip, Mr. Upi.